It's time.
I mean, you remember?
Scrubbed forward, I guess. He's turned up, right? Yeah, okay. Way turned up.
I've always been a bit of a stargazer. Every night when I see Orion in the sky, I'll say, "Hello, old man." That's true.
You do? What? He says he has a cute little good night thing he says to the Orion. The Orion. All right. If you've never tuned into this, Armoured Skeptic is a former atheist YouTuber, currently a conspiracy theory YouTuber. He is very barely a skeptic. Now, I don't think he's totally unscrewed his head all the way at this point in the series, but by the time we get to this video, things really are looking dire. So, he truly believes some of this. Okay, so let's hear. I interrupted him. Let's hear why he says good night to the Orion constellation. Sup, mother shuckers. I just punched out and saw that we watching True Facts About Fallen Angels. That's right. That's right, chat. True facts.
I'll say, "Hello, old man."
Hello.
That's true. I've only ever told that to one person before. I think that there's nothing more
I think I know who.
Romantic than a warm summer's night deep in the wilderness, staring up at the Milky Way with the nostalgic 90s grunge playing in the background. And there's no single spot in the night sky that I've spent more time staring at than the dog star Sirius.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. He's into this. It'd be cool if he was just into this and it was like pure. Like, yeah, I like to hang out in nature, and don't you guys like stars? And he's just a dork about stars. That's cute. Whatever, man. You can live your life. But like, I don't think that's what we're doing. I feel like this is all massive cope, and he just wants people to think he's smart or something, or deep. I think he wants people to think he's deep.
It's mesmerizing. If I look at it long enough, I swear it's like I can see it up close. It just draws me in. And this dog played an important role in the ancient myths and legends used to describe the movements of the constellations across the sky. Sirius is actually 3 stars. 3's my favorite number.
We got numerology shit happening. Numerology. Oh, man.
Sirius A is the brightest. Sirius B is a little more dim. Then there's this dark, dense body, Sirius C. The 2 bright stars orbiting around the dark one in the center. The precession taking about 50 years for each orbit. Every 50 years, the stars perform a full orbit around the dark center. What's crazy about that is that we didn't realize Sirius was multiple stars until 1862, and it took us many more years to realize that they were on a 50-year precession, yet somehow the Dogon people of Western Africa knew about the 50-year precession of Sirius hundreds of years before us.
Okay.
Literally a recluse tribe in the wilderness of the Western Sahara that avoids modern society, yet somehow they knew about Sirius before us. How is this possible? Carl Sagan tried to debunk this by suggesting that the Dogon people must have learned this information by picking it up from traders in more recent times, which makes a lot of sense. However, that was debunked when it was later discovered that the Dogon people actually have art preserved from at least 400 years ago depicting this procession.
I think we're at the ancient aliens point again, where we assume people with non-Western affectations and cultural, like, it's pretty obvious that this is not like a Eurocentric culture, right? Just thinking that how could they possibly look at the sky and glean any information whatsoever is like, man, comes across as racist every time. I don't know how to tell you that. Now, I realize that there's some there's a contingent of people of course, that hear that and they're like, how is that racist? He didn't say the N-word at all. In fact, he's being very respectful because he's saying this. I'm not saying you're necessarily racist, although it's like kind of though. So the reason Ancient Aliens is sort of sus for a lot of people, and people will call it racist or accuse it of being such, is because, you know, every time a brown culture or one that doesn't have the you know, markers of a Western civilization, anytime they glean information we didn't have, it's got to be from aliens or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, they could not possibly use their brains and also figure stuff out. Or maybe they noticed a different part of the phenomenon that you don't really consider significant. It's like the path of it or something. Who knows? Could be also a coincidence. Who fucking knows? But, like, I'm pretty sure that there's many cultures that have learned stuff we don't know. That makes a lot of sense. How could we not just, like, entertain that at all as a possibility as well?
From at least 400 years ago, depicting
It's sort of ancient alien shit, yeah.
this procession. That's pretty intense. In fact, even though they use more poetic language to describe these processes, the Dogon people seem to understand basic atomic structure, how embryos multiply into fetuses in the womb, as well as several other complex scientific concepts.
I'm not sure that they have cellular science, but they might have a concept that sounds like that when you talk to them. I don't know, man.
They consider themselves the preservers of ancient knowledge. This is real. Most ancient cultures have similar myths about gods coming down to share their knowledge with humans, teaching us how to hunt, how to farm, how to make tools, how to make weapons, how to war. But they also taught us how to predict nature, basic sciences, and philosophical wisdom that we continue to pass down in our legends and stories today.
I love these highly advanced beings being like, and sometimes when you have a conflict you can't resolve, you have to kill them. And here's the best way to do it.
These are the people that we would call the fallen angels. We're diving pretty deep into my History is a Lie series here, and we've dealt with some pretty bizarre concepts, but I can't help but notice how many of these fallen angel types are depicted as fish people or fish gods, or are associated.
Is he gonna Atlantis our ass, bro? Is he gonna Atlantis? He did before.
Associated with water or water imagery. And
Young Jones, is this the first time you've seen him? I'm asking because, unfortunately, yes. Oh my fucking god, that's so validating. For a lot of us, that is validating. I have known this guy, not known him well. I don't think either of us were ever friends, but we were acquaintances and we've done content together way back in the day when I did TBR. And he always came across as incredibly insecure. I think I'm very smart. I want everybody to like me. And bro, I think you know, when other people are seeing that shit, independent first impression, look, man. True.
In some way, and this tradition has remnants that still last until today. I maintain that there's no such thing as ancient aliens. I still have no patience for the off-world visitor theory, but these stories are true.
On-world visitor theory.
True. I've demonstrated
the stories are true. So he actually believes in terrestrial ancient aliens. So they're not aliens, they're ancient giants. This is real. This is really what this guy believes. Ancient, like giant. Sometimes he describes them as cone heads. They also made like people hybrids to like do stuff, and they I don't know, died.
In my theory about the cone-headed giants who ruled over humanity as priests and god kings for thousands of years. The Bible refers to them as the sons of God, but I didn't really explain who they were. Exactly.
Fuck, bro.
This video is definitely going to be a bit of a black sheep in the series. A lot of moving pieces. I don't know if you're going to be able to keep up. And I'm not even entirely sure that there's a point to this video in the end. And I really wanted to be in the mindset of a fish. So during the recording of this intro, I've been drinking like a fish. So things have not really been working out for me like they normally do. You guys remember when we all used to be fish? No.
Bro, he's on one. I don't know, dude. I don't understand.
I mean, you remember when we all used to worship fish? We totally all used to do that together. This was prolific. This imagery and tradition has been maintained until today with the famous Jesus fish.
Okay, dude. We're 4 minutes in. We have a little over an hour left on the timer. You guys are gonna fail in day 2, are you? Day 2, easily destroying you, smashing you to smithereens before I even gave you any of the juicy stuff. You just wanted me to smoke weed. That's it? You don't want me to see? I don't know. I say this, and then last time it got down to 15 minutes twice, and I was here for 3 days, so whatever. We'll see what happens. My butt is stronger, though.
So Jesus was a fish god? Sort of. Well, the Dogon people of Mali, Africa, literally have a legend about fish gods coming down from Sirius and teaching us everything that we know. This is one of the oldest religious traditions. The Dogon people truly are a treasure of the ancient world. The Dogon not only derive their beliefs from ancient Egyptian traditions, they also have a tie to Dagon. This
It fucking happened. Literally. Humans love fish because it was their main source of protein for millennia after the introduction of farming. It's fucking Dagon, dude. All right. Miscellaneous biddies, you get 2 minutes. Holy shit, dude. It's happening.
This fish god is one of those ancient gods depicted with the purse and the wand.
Sing Reaper! Give one of winos! Chat, you keep dabbling with momentum like this.
Tradition we see many gods perform across multiple cultures. A mystery that has an extremely logical explanation that I'm going to reveal today.
Ooh.
I'm not as confident about proving this video as I have been some of my previous videos. I think this one's going to leave you guys split down the middle again. But really, at the end of the day, I never really care if you guys believe me or you take my side on these issues. I just think that it's cool if you guys start thinking for yourselves.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Ugh. Too much beer. And even though I don't think that the fish thing is true exactly,
Some stoner 69, dude. 5 of them. Thank you, dude. That's 10 minutes added to the timer. You want a Radical Dwarf, The Deaded, Reckless, Pappy Hal, and Zombie Doll. It is 420 all day. It is happening. Chat. Momentum is happening.
they weren't literally fish people. I think you guys have got the hint by now that the legends that I like to talk about in this series are based on true events. The fallen ones were real.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about. He yelled at me when I reviewed this the first time, 3 years ago when he made this. He got mad at me on Twitter and blocked me. Because I said he thinks this is real. He's like, no, I don't. Fuck you. Hey, I'm fucking vindicated, okay? Happened again. Every time. Corn Guy's right. Always happens. Welcome, Letitia. Lewis Sharp, welcome. Thanks for following, dude.
That happened. So
Chad, if we get to a booty party, we can make Greg shut up. That's true. We do have a booty party ready, locked and ready to go. There's lots of people without, there's an ad starting soon. Lots of people without subs.
who are these people, and why do we associate them with fish? Well, before we talk about the ancient gods, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Raycon.
I'm good.
miss-
Count
have
me
an-
out. Count me
continue.
out of that. I'm
Five-
good. Oh my fucking god.
Just-
Dude, Jesus
just
Christ.
That
Shut up.
below. Go to buyraycon.com/skeptic to unlock exclusive deals
What a bad
up to
dog.
15. Buy Raycon.
Oh my god. All right, now this. So that's the preamble to his video. He did the first title opening sequence, and now he has the second title opening sequence with his banging beats. He's got hot beats, chat. Raycon / actual Jake. That's right. I think I have Raycons somewhere around here. Maybe not. Maybe Sarah does. Ooh, there we go. I have some. I don't accept sponsorships from ghoulish companies, however. I have these. I barely use them. In fact, they're fully charged or something. Maybe. Their lights were on still. Scary Spikes, give one to Squirrel Nuts. Oh, like it. 2 more minutes added to it. Now you're back up to an hour and a half. Look at that, chat. Look at that. All right. Oh, God.
Sirius is often associated with wisdom. In The Truman Show, instead of stars, his reality has stage lights. The moment Truman starts to realize that he's in a fake reality is when one of these stage lights falls right in front of him. And the name of the stage light? Sirius.
Whoa, like the North Star? Like the navigational tool, the North Star Sirius? You have no idea why the writer might put Sirius... Yeah, he does. He knows. He knows. But it's not part of the conspiracy, dog. Chat, you had momentum. Fumbling the bag? Question mark?
The association of wisdom with Sirius even exists in our language. When you're saying something that's true, you're being serious.
Fuck off. That is not... That is not... If I look up the etymology of Sirius, it better be the North Star. Sirius etymology. All right. Ernest. It's from Latin. I don't know,
I
dude.
hope you have a fantastic day.
Colts fan. Thank you so much for the 26 months. Thanks, dude. 2 more minutes. I do not believe that is the case. Ernest Sirius from Sirius, Latin. I don't know. Someone else go. Someone else go deeper. Go deeper than that. North Star equals Polaris. Oh, true. It's Polaris. You're right. You're right.
Ancient Mesopotamia and the Middle East are really important resources for the line of study that I invoke in this series.
Never mind. Truman Show's part of the conspiracy. I was wrong. He's right.
Their traditions so
From Middle English, Sirius. From Old French, Sirio. From Medieval Latin, Siriosus. An extension of Latin Sirius, grave, earnest, serious. From Proto-Indo-European, swear, heavy. Cognate with German schwer, heavy, difficult, severe. Old English, schwer, heavy, grave, grievous.
perfectly reflect the ancient beliefs of their time, and are an obvious early evolution of the same ancient religion Egypt is based on. This is Teshub, the sky god, being pulled by Taurus, the eight-legged storm god.
Uh-oh.
What does it mean?
It means Odin.
That's from the last video? Never mind, forget. This is Dagon, the Semitic god. Dagon is a fish man. This is one of the earliest forms of Orion worship. In a previous episode, I tied several ancient religions together, showing
He did do that. All the ancient religions are the same. They are all together. Chat, you're at 1333, by the way. That's very satisfying.
how they're
I also
all
don't have any lamps yet.
different forms of Orion worship, focusing on the veneration of the golden phallus. But if
There's lots of dicks in this, too.
we follow the Dagon thread to its ancient root, we see how the earliest people would have seen Orion as a fish.
Sure, yeah.
It's really the most intuitive thing that this shape makes. And just like Osiris, the green god of the garden,
Look at that dong,
Dagon was the god of farming. He invented the plow, so he was associated with wisdom.
The fish god invented the plow. Did they have plow fish in the ancient giant days? It's pretty dope.
And he was the god of fertility.
And the god of fertility. Overthought! 5 of them, dude. Thank you. Uh-oh, chat. It's really starting to happen. Overthought. 10 more minutes. Added. Atari Silver Elch. Serene YX. Is? Sure. K-Blixed. M Kai the Berry. Shiny Zin Ogre. I did it.
So sorry, he is technically
Overthought,
another
thank you.
form of the golden penis worship. I'm sorry, I don't do this on purpose. The Dogon tradition technically began.
It's so funny because he has this like definitely everyone knows what I'm talking about and they're all in on the joke and they're all laughing about the same stuff, like a narrative in his head, and then he has shots like this where he's just laughing.
Sorry, I don't do this on purpose. The Dogon tradition.
Because, like, isn't it so funny and wild that this is all true, guys? And then I don't know if that's the reception he's getting.
Technically began in the 10th century during the beginning of the Dark Ages. But there are more than a few hints in their culture and their language that suggest that their traditions are much older than that.
So you think it was a common, that could be invented the plow, but actually it was just they used the fish guts for fertilizer while using the plow, and so they gave it to, You know that probably happened first, right? Definitely throwing waste away and then finding out stuff grows really well there in your waste pit area. Damn, the plants really like it here. You know what I mean?
They're an amalgamation of several different ethnic groups that banded together. They were persecuted for their belief in the ancient gods. But clearly the dominant mindset was to maintain their covenant with the old gods, and to farm and maintain the traditions of their ancient ancestors. Though a handful of Dogon join modern society, like the Amish Mennonites, they're a recluse group and live isolated from our modern way of life. They live in one of the harshest regions of Africa, yet they continue to excel in their traditions. The Dogon have several different forms of speech depending on how initiated you are into their culture.
I have no idea how much of this is bullshit because he's giving them like magical qualities. And so it makes me suspicious about everything he tells me about these people. It makes me think he's just saying some stuff because they have this like, ooh, look, they have these masks and they're in a village. Oh, you know, magical indigenous on the bingo. We have magical indigenous people on the other one, don't we? What's this bingo card? Has something like that. Or maybe it was the other one. Magical indigenous, I don't know. Dubious medical condition.
They have
yes. You actually that is the wait. You did have BIPOC on there. Is that the word I'm looking for? This is a new bingo card, so I don't actually know. Know what's on here. Rare BIPOC story. There we go. We had that one last time. Anyway. Magical minority, I think, was it too.
Front speech for people like us who don't know anything about them, where they can talk about themselves a little bit in their culture. But if you're initiated, then they have what they call back speech, where they can go much deeper into their spiritual beliefs, their sciences, and their philosophies. Their secret knowledge and sciences are tied in with their religion.
Their secret knowledges and sciences. You can't get this information from them unless you ingratiate yourself into level 3. Level 3. This is how he thinks of all minority people. Level 3 of getting into the cookout. Then you like
And in order to learn those things,
he's gonna come there, and he's gonna be the white guy that finally cracks the code, dude.
You have to graduate up for that knowledge to be bestowed upon you by a priest. That's literally describing the Egyptian mystery religion. I'm fairly convinced that this tradition that the Dogon display is directly tied to the same tradition that built the pyramids. But it's been suggested by researchers for years that the Dogon tradition ties back to Egypt. The Dogon believed that the first being that the earth gave birth to was a pale fox god, who historians have suggested is Anubis, the jackal god that judges you in the underworld.
The jackal god? What if I talked like that from now on? The jackal god. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm gonna smoke a fat bong rip whenever you get to the next 50 sub marker, which is in 22 subs, or 12. I don't know how to do math. I've been smoking. Umatsa, thank you so much for the 15 months. I will add 2 minutes to the counter. This makes me professional.
It has to do.
And it's not straining at all. Stone Caramel, 500 biddies. Thank you so much for the subathon goal. Jake does whole stream and Jake would fucking collapse. I'm good. Jakeaplier. Welcome to the next gameplay video. Today we're gonna play Can We Smoke Enough to Forget This? The answer is no.
And the Dogon's main god, Amu, is derived from
be a voice actor, bro.
The Egyptian hidden god.
Literally hire me for voice. I want to be on Critical Role immediately.
God, Amen. The same Amen that we invoke at the end of every prayer today.
That's right. That's right. If you make, does he know how like homonyms and homophones work, dude? We all have human mouths and sounds, and we have language. We make similar sounds sometimes, man. Sometimes words don't mean the same thing. It could be. This could also. They're regionally close enough. It could totally be real. But also, it sounds like bullshit. So fuck. Like, I just don't think this is the case. I do not think that those words exist. Like, it's very Eurocentric to think everything lined up with the English words we use. Or at least that they're still maintained in the culture. Like, man, everything ends up being like, oh, but we still say we're being serious. They have used the word serious for that forever, and it's always been called serious, and no one else called it not serious ever. When they look up at the sky, every culture was like, that's serious. Serious stuff. So that's the normal, natural sound that comes out of your face when things get serious.
Thank you, Lord. Amen. The Greeks had their own idea of this unknown God that was secretly behind all creation, and the Bible suggests that that unknown God was Jesus, which again ties all of these traditions together. But whatever, you guys are here to learn about the fallen angels. Let's catch up on the lore first. It's a lot different than what your pastor taught you. I'm going to show you the correct way to interpret Genesis.
We've come a long way, Greg. The correct way to interpret Genesis. Let's go. I wish I could play that. We come a long, long way together. Is that Fatboy Slim? Is that that? No, is that Celebrate You? Praise You. This one. Boop.
All right, let's.
I can't play any more of that though. That's it. That's all I get. That's what we get. You and me, Greg, from the old days into now. Now you're interpreting the truth of Genesis. That's very cool, man. You see, every non-white culture is merely suppressing their white language, English, so deep down they all knew that this some serious shit. Yeah, actually, English is the language of the white angels. That's right, the language of the angels. Celestial in D&D is actually just English. It's just English. Just keep changing the speed. Yeah, it's a good song though. It's a good one, and I would play it right now if I could. What a vibe! Speaking of vibes, chat. The vibe right now in chat. You're a 12 away from a bong rip, and we are teetering on the edge of momentum. But you guys keep titillating it.
Right, so who were these people? Well, first Enoch calls them the Watchers, and second Enoch calls them the Gregori, which means protectors. And they were protecting us, but they weren't watching us, they were watching the stars. These were the Homo Denisovan, the authors of the civilization that came before ours. And based on artifacts that we found in Denisovan Cave, they were at least 6,000 years ahead of us, technologically.
Technologically ahead of us. That's right. This dick statue couldn't do it 6,000 years ago.
It's all in the Alien Skulls video. Go catch up.
We already watched it. It wasn't in that video. If you would like to see that video, however, we have them. We have them on here. I'm sure it's somewhere in here. I don't know. Fucking conspiracies. This one. I don't know. This is Mudflood one, actually. It's great.
In the Bible, Homo sapiens are referred to as man, just like in Lord of the Rings. But sapiens are also referred to as the nations, as in the dominant species that makes up the many nations that are everywhere on the planet. The
white
Watchers had several different names in the Bible, like the sons of God, the El or the Elohim. We would call them elves in folklore. Or
with elves in folklore. Fuck. No. Oh, man.
Or angels today. Angel is really just a title for messenger of God. And they were considered a priest class of humans, so they would have been considered living messengers of God.
So the elves died out. We used to have Tolkien. You know what? We used to have Conan the Barbarian fucking timeline, which means Cthulhu is real because it's in the Cthulhu universe, sort of. Fuck. That makes the most sense, though. I think if God is real, it's definitely Azathoth. An uncaring, dreaming God who is being kept asleep only so that it can keep us
And there are several times in Genesis, like in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where people just automatically know.
It looks like Cell. This looks like the Cell saga. Which Cell saga versions. I bet I could just choose Cell versions, but I didn't want to get biology. Yeah, he sort of looks like this Cell. A little bit with his little eyeballs. Cell all versions. Maybe I could do. Wait. What do they call? It's not version. What do they call these? Forms? Look at this guy. Dude, imagine if you were put in someone's tail. I don't want to go in a tail.
Know that they're a messenger of God just by seeing them, and they're not described as having wings, they're just people.
Phases. It's phases?
They just knew that these people were different. And how else would that be possible unless they were just physiologically different? The Homo Denisovan's mind worked totally differently from ours. Astrology
You tired?
comes from them. It was their study. They're the ones that marked the movements of the stars and turned
That's a lizard person that has titties, and they're suckling the titties. I don't know.
them into stories about the changing of the seasons.
It smells crazy in there.
So that it would make sense to us. They took the illogical and made it logical.
Yeah.
They made multiple unintuitive connections between celestial events and events that happen here on Earth. I mean, think about what it would be like to be a hunter living in a cave. Then all of a sudden one day this cone-headed giant shows up and tells you it's gonna rain tomorrow. And then it rains tomorrow. You're going to assume that that guy's a god.
I'm interested in where the... Did he say where the cone heads come from? Snake titties do be rocking, though. I follow an artist on Twitter that actually did a commission for me once that does a lot of lizard fucking art. It's not why I follow, but yeah.
Or that he at least works for God. Okay, so get this. The Bible makes clear divisions between Watchers and Sapiens several times, even going as far as to imply that there are at least 2 other groups of humans. 4 total. And keep in mind that a lot of these legends and traditions actually come from them. So obviously they're going to elevate themselves above Sapiens in all of these stories. They were convinced that they were better than us.
Wowzers. Is he Canadian? Oh yeah. He is very Canadian. Greg is incredibly Canadian. Absolutely.
Genesis begins with the creation of the heavens and the earth. Then the plants and the animals, and then mankind, sapiens. It all happens much like we know that it happened in reality, in a similar order and everything, ending with humans.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, the neighborhood gets to do stuff.
Genesis
Do you want to come here? Hey, do you want to come here? Come here, bud. No, he's too distracted. Come here. Where you going? You think I'm yelling at you? He thinks I'm yelling at him.
implies that it's the creator God that did all of this, naturally, through evolution. But then Genesis starts again talking about the creation of the Garden of Eden and the creation of Adam and then Eve. Lilith is in there too. I'm going to talk about her another time. Don't worry. So
He's retrotting my old footsteps just to smear the path.
with the Bible
He's got you. He's going to tell you the truth, chat. What do you mean he's smug? No. He's a truth guy.
starting with the creation of humanity and then going back and describing the creation of Adam and Eve, people argue that this is a contradiction of the Bible, going back and changing the story. But this isn't the Bible repeating the story of the creation of man. Genesis is implying that Adam and Eve were created later and that they're not the same thing as sapiens. In fact, when Cain kills Abel, Cain is punished by being told to go live with the people. What people? I'm not f***ing around here. Take a second to think about this. Because when it talks...
Take a second to think about this. Not that the ancient people had an incoherent story, because they were mostly like oral tradition, like nomadic peoples over thousands of years. And they had multiple stories to this, or multiple versions of this. Actually, it's all true, and we just have to really interpret it out according to Greg's grand unifying conspiracy theory about the end of the world. Which, by the way, spoiler alert, solar flare.
talks about the creation of Adam and Eve, the language changes about who it is that's creating them. Remember, it says that Adam and Eve were created in our image, plural. Who is us? Who created them? In their image. The Bible is referring to the Elohim, the sons of God. So this is implying, so Genesis is literally implying.
It's literally implying it. Literally implying it.
That
not literally explicitly saying the things.
Adam and Eve were either created by the Denisovan or they were bred by them. Probably.
So he just thinks that they were a natural evolutionary branch of the humans?
Probably the second one. But the point of the Garden of Eden story and Adam is that they were trying to create the best of what humanity could produce. He's supposed to be the ideal human. So the story implies that Adam and Eve were created specifically to be perfect beings living in a perfect environment. And they were also supposed to be the keepers and guardians of all living things on Earth, plants, animals, and humans. That is, until they obtained knowledge. The downfall of humanity was wisdom.
Wow, that's deep stuff. Tyler, that's very deep stuff. God, dude. I can't tell if it's good that I'm not higher or it's bad that I'm not higher. Cuz I feel like if I was higher, I feel like I'd be down here like this and just watching like this. But I feel like maybe I'd be having more fun. I don't know. Creed? Can you take me home? Should have a soundboard. Can you take me higher?
That sounds like bullshit to me. So the politics are kind of sloppy. There's not a lot to go on between Genesis.
What does?
All of humanity was wisdom. That sounds like bullshit to me. So the politics are kind of sloppy. There's not a lot to go on between Genesis and the books of Enoch. But it appears as if there was a group of Elohim that got rather upset that this new group of humans came along that are supposed to be elevated above the Elohim. Because up until this point, the Homo Denisovans was the dominant species. That makes a lot of sense too. This is when the...
That makes a lot of sense. Just saying it. Just saying it makes a lot of it.
Sons of God come down and take daughters of men as wives and create a new group of hybrids that we now refer to as the Nephilim. So the Nephilim are not just abominations because they're these
The Nephilim are his hybrid people?
regulated hybrids coming out in all sorts of shapes and sizes, defying God's design. But the Nephilim are abominations because they're existing in...
You know Scott Stapp, lead singer of Creed, was in a trailer group sex situation with Kid Rock back in the day, and there's a sex tape, and there's a part in the sex tape where the camera pans over to Scott Stapp and he's like smoking a cigar, he's like shirtless, and Scott Stapp says, "It's good to be king," and there you go, and that's Scott Stapp's sex tape for you. You don't even have to watch it.
Direct opposition to Adam and Eve, these perfect hybrids. I also find it important to point out that Genesis doesn't specify which group
didn't need this wisdom. This is the real sinful apple. This is the fruit that brought down the Nephilim, or the angels, the coneheads.
Technically the Nephilim. When Genesis says, "And there were giants on the earth in those days," or "there were Nephilim in the earth in those days," they weren't talking about specifically those fallen angel hybrids. They meant that was the time when there were giants everywhere. So it means anyone related to the Homo Denisovan. The books of Enoch are not in the Bible, but they were preferred reading in ancient times, and there's several times in the Bible that the books of Enoch are referenced. Even Jesus references it. So there are things that you should just know already going in, and saying that there were giants on the earth in those times is one of those things. And some of you might be direct descendants of any of those groups and not even know it.
Tall
the Bible,
people.
again...
Tall people? Yeah.
Differentiates these three different groups of humans in Deuteronomy when talking about what happened to humanity after the fall of Babel. I know I talked about this already, but in the Dead Sea Scrolls,
Hobbit-sized.
it says that God divided up the nations according to the number of the sons of Adam and the number of the sons of God. Sons of Adam are not the nations. It's saying those are two different groups. It would be really redundant to say they divided up the people based on the number of people. So it divided up the people based on the number of the sons of Adam and the number of the sons of God. This is the only place in the Bible that those three groups are listed in the same sentence. And we only have it because of the Dead Sea Scrolls. An entire different species of human only exists because one scroll preserved that knowledge. And if you're wondering where Neanderthal...
Nope. You a short king? No, I mean, I'm 5'10". And not like fake 5'10". I played basketball. 5'10". 5'10".
all fits in with all...
I'm usually like, I'm one of the tallest guys in the group until there's a tall guy around. That's usually how it goes for me.
This, I'm not really sure. Probably Adam and Eve have Neanderthal in them too. I'm betting that it was some sort of perfect amalgamation of the three, because by this point in human history, Neanderthal had already been in the sapien genome for like 30,000 years, if not longer. But it's made clear with the artifacts that we find in Denisovan Cave that sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans were all living in harmony together. At least
average height for dudes is 5'9", so I'm usually over the average. Right? So I'm usually taller than most dudes, and then there's a few tall people in the crowd, and I'm not.
in certain pockets of the Earth, so... likely this is where this Adam and Eve hybrid popped up from. This merger of man and angel,
so
sapien and Denisovan, is considered the beginning of the end of the golden age for humanity.
You know what's wild about this? We have no fucking evidence of this. None. No evidence of giant humans just around all the time.
Most cultures around the world agree that the Great Flood of the Bible, the one that I suggested was the Younger Dryas event of nearly 12,000 years ago, was a punishment for the giants corrupting the earth, for their evil that they spread across the planet, their manipulation of humanity and nature. Regardless of why the flood happened, it seems as if the Great Flood was much more devastating to the population of giants than it was to sapiens. Very few giants survived the flood for some reason, and the ones that did survive only did so by hybridizing with sapiens until, through the millennia, they became indistinguishable from the rest of humanity.
I need to see the rest of this video. Better be him figuring out how to justify that right there, instead of just being like, well, it must have happened.
It has the juice.
Hi, Greg. I'm a talent scout for the Used to Be About History channel. I see potential in your work and would be a great addition to our lineup of primetime shows. I can easily see it being placed alongside Cum Hunters and Ghost Harassers. If you are interested, please reach out to us at 555-420 UAHC. True. Am I half Nephilim? You are. You are one of the gods among us, Dr. Randy. I had a guy and he tried to show me a Nephilim skull photos. I showed him it was just Nat Geo photo contest. It happens, dude. It happens. Speaking of things happening, we are 12 subs away from a bong rip. Captain Flags, thanks for following, dude.
Göbekli Tepe is one of these places where giants are venerated. There are actually 3 massive stone settlements in that region of Turkey that are nearly identical in structure and function. Thousands...
Uh-oh. Mr. Whiskers! 5 of them. 5 of them. We'll add minutes. There you go. Give one to Ultimate Umbreon, Roland the Gunslinger, the Andrea 20, 027, Casual Catharsis, 100 more biddies. I'm going to add 2 minutes for miscellaneous biddies. Senior Reaper, important fact Greg forgot to mention about the Giants.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up.
It's totally made up. We'll save it for more. Chat. Again, you teeter on the edge of momentum.
Thousands of people would have lived in these cities. Hunter-gatherers just suddenly created multiple cities with complex art and basic agriculture overnight.
Agriculture, that's right. They couldn't do art until they built a house. No one did any art whatsoever. That's right. And these super advanced beings stacked rocks in concentric rings. And then big rock here. Wow. Wow. Very advanced stuff. Overnight. No, it was overnight. It took 24 hours.
Almost as if they were taught. But like I said, multiple cultures have stories that are consistent with
Oh, Hideous Lemon. To learn that story would take such a toll of chat time.
this.
The last story we told was the shit gazebo story.
Describing giants that came down from mountains and gave us knowledge. But why are they fish? God, I almost forgot the point of this video. I swear this is not clickbait. So
I swear this isn't clickbait. Cryptid Seabird, a topical name to have. They were too busy building stone dudes pointing to their junk to art. That's true.
Dagon
Have I missed so much lore? Oh, lots of it.
is one of these ancient fish gods that has the purse and the little doodad. So what is the purse and the little doodad?
Pine cone and a purse.
The wand is not present in every single depiction, but usually when there is a wand, that wand is a pine cone. There's a lot of theories as to why it's a pine cone. I know some of you know, so write in the comment section, teach my audience for me, please. It has to do with the third eye. But the
Pine cone. A rather good idea. Perfectly encapsulate the History is a Lie series. Why don't you videos love it? But History is a Lie is by far my favorite series you've done. Are we gonna do pine cones? Anybody pine cones? Just educate my audience. Pine cones. Pine cones. Pine cones. I watch every single video. The Ragnarok event. Pine cones. Okay, we're not getting a lot of pine cone information. I do not think anyone knows what the fuck the pine cones. Pineal gland bullshit? Let's go.
practical, functional reason for it being a pine cone is because you can dip a pine cone in water and flick the water. That purse is a bucket filled with holy water. As in, that's ionized water that the gods are ceremonially flicking on that tree of life.
Ionized water? Like nano bubbles? We're on some Russell Wilson shit?
As a sign of fertility.
Fuck
This
you.
relief is a manifestation of the garden machine religion.
Oh, fuck. Oh, the garden machine. The pyramids are batteries, chat. I forgot. The pyramids are batteries. Also, he's smarter than Nikola Tesla. He actually said this.
The mystery religion. What's happening in this ceremony is a depiction of the function of a garden machine itself. This might as well be a hieroglyph of the Giza Plateau. But this ceremony also spiritually represents these gods bringing us knowledge. They were obsessed with that shit. But there are multiple examples
they're
of these
obsessed.
buckets surviving until today. There are several in museums. Clearly buckets, not machines from space. But the
Buckets?
Denisovan didn't know everything. They thought that there was a dome of water at the top of the sky, separating the waters above from the waters below. Well, rainwater comes from the heavens, and rainwater is famously healthier for plants than standing water. That's because it's ionized. They would have put two and two together, but assumed that that was heavenly water coming from above.
2 and 2 together, but not 3. There's the underworld.
Flat earthers love the water dome thing. It's still symbolically represented in a lot of art in reference to the ancient lore about it. My favorite example is this old commercial showing the first high altitude balloon flight accidentally entering the waters above. Beautiful imagery. But I'm fairly confident that this dome of water doesn't actually exist.
I'm fairly confident.
I don't know. I've never been up there, but if I ever mention this dome of water, it's not because I believe it. It's just they believed it.
I'm not fairly confident, okay? I'm 100% confident.
Actually, that goes for like half the stuff I talk about in this series anyways. Well, at Göbekli Tepe, we have a depiction
we are
of these
7
water
away from a
buckets in
bonger.
the image of the apocalypse that I keep showing you over and over again. Well, there's
An ad starts in... I'm snoozing right now. An ad starts in 6.5 minutes. You have 6.5 minutes to be subscribed immediately, or you're getting ads.
dome of buckets above the apocalypse imagery. As in, that's the
Heavily
dome of
ionized
water in the heavens, implying that all of this imagery is happening
Or you
in
can use ad blocker, but I think they're all broken now.
the heavens above. You get
you
it? I'm
figure it out,
sure
dude.
by now you've been exposed to the
Oh. And that's Majin Buu, right? I don't know.
concept of ancient astronauts. There is a good deal of art from the ancient world that seems to depict people dressed
I hope you will
An
have a
astronaut
fantastic day.
outfit in. Fuck you. Overthought. Give one to Karen Hall. There you go. 2 more added. This first image was not. Wait, what are you talking about?
in the heavens above.
This isn't
You
a
get it?
spaceship.
I'm sure
guy?
by
This
now.
isn't a. What do you mean? This isn't a. This person definitely went to the stars. What do you mean?
Now you've been exposed to the concept of ancient astronauts. There is a good deal of art from the ancient world that seems to depict people dressed like astronauts. It's silly. Obviously, I don't believe it,
Good.
but the theory does make sense if you follow
No.
the logic of the lore.
If you follow the logic of the lore. I mean, same with literally any story.
Most of the art that we have of these aliens are actually sapiens, normal humans, wearing ceremonial outfits that are designed to be caricaturized versions of the suits that the teachers wore. So there's a degree of separation between what these suits actually look like and how they're depicted in this art. Cool. And I'm more than willing to believe that the ancient people were able to make some sort of suit like this, but it was likely designed as an aquatic suit. Like a scuba suit.
Scuba! That's what he actually believes. It was the scubas. Dude, imagine this is pressurized. Pressurized scuba suit. And it's got... This is so you can pee out of it.
It was likely designed as an aquatic suit. Like a scuba suit.
What if it was just a statue? Since we have no archaeological evidence of any of this stuff, what if they just made a thing? What if they drew a blorbo? Dude, what if this is just one of their OCs?
Have a fantastic day.
Mr. Whiskers, give one a synapsidose. Thank you so much. What if this is just an OC, dude? What if this is just a 5th level warlock? You ever think of that?
I want you to think for a second what the world would have been like for the Denisovan back then, traveling around teaching us everything. It wouldn't have been like it is today, where you go...
Dude, it makes me blow my nose, though. Ooh. Is that why you get dried out? It makes everything come out of my face.
Go to another continent and you just find another race with a different culture. You go to a different continent and you find a whole different species of human that behaves so differently, they might as well be aliens.
Wow. This is my OC. Please don't steal. He's half angel, half green man, and is currently employed at NASA. True. That's where I put him. A NASA scientist? Bro, I'm good in high AMA. We still don't have, it's weird to have ripped that bong. And all the times I've done it during this, it's been in the middle of a hype train. So I've been having to manage, like, subscriptions and stuff. So, like, I'm almost Pavlov to, like, be like, hey, we gotta do any lamps? I gotta shine anybody out? It's sort of like when you're driving and you check your mirrors because you're a diligent driver. I'm looking at my screens.
Remember, you're just a basic hunter-gatherer, and then all of a sudden these giants show up and they tell you that they used the stars to get here. They point to a star and say, that's where they came from. You don't know that they're using the sky as a map of the world. That doesn't make sense to you. Then they show you these neat suits that they have that go under the water, and then they tell you that rain comes from the waters in the heavens. And
is he saying the Atlanteans... Are these Atlanteans as well? Because they kind of were last time. Is that where they go? They were visiting, like, Atlantis? Atlantis. Atlantis?
And you're putting all this together in your head, and you're like, these are fish people that live in the water up there. That's why we thought they were fish people. The thing is, I do think that the occult uses the ancient astronaut concept and conflates it with modern astronauts, and that is intentionally perpetuated in art, but not as a literal representation. And I'm going to use this famous relief of the astronaut on the Cathedral of Salamanca as my proof here. People who love the ancient astronaut theory will often bring up this image as proof that the church always knew about ancient astronauts.
Wow.
but this actually proves my point. First of all, it was added to the cathedral in 1992, so astronauts had been around for a while. But did anybody else notice that it's surrounded by seaweed? Am I the only one seeing the seaweed? Why does nobody else see the seaweed? Come on, guys. I need you to catch up. I feel like I'm alone out here. But
It was very. Hey, we're dummies. We are all dummies in the wake of this man's glorious brain. In 92, that's right. 1992. Wake up. Wake up, sheeple. You're asleep. Wake up. Pay attention. This is seaweed. That's right. Moist? Oh, no. All right, I have recovered from my bong rip. I'm not even high anymore, chat.
in all seriousness, there are probably a few reasons why people associated them with fish. I have guesses, but they're educated guesses. I actually find that a lot of these seafaring merchant cultures
He was joking.
follow this same tradition as the Coneheads, and a lot of them are depicted as wearing scaled armor, which ancient men probably would have thought were fish scales. You factor in super pale skin with pointed hats, I bet that the scaled armor made them look like fish.
So they got to scale mail. That's a very advanced society. Atlantis batteries.
Another thing is these giants would have been under an excruciating amount of physical stress just from their size. And I'm not coming up with this on my own, but I've heard enough legends that these giants liked to wade in water a lot. And if you think about it, a lot of them lived next to salt water. So chances are it was part of their culture to spend a lot of time floating just to alleviate the stress on their joints. So that's a fairly fishy kind of thing, I guess. But
That's cool texture to a D&D campaign. Giants are really heavy, so they like to float and stuff and take time off their joints. That's why they have so many thrones and shit. Makes sense.
But like I said, other cultures that took up the mantle of conehead merchant would also use fish imagery, and also kings and pharaohs and stuff that came out of those cultures would have used that in official art and imagery as well, so that's another way it would have spread throughout different cultures. Atlantis and survivors of Atlantis are synonymous with this aquatic imagery. As a tongue-in-cheek joke, we say that mermaids live in Atlantis under...
Bro, mermaids were fucking manatees, dude. Like, they were manatees. It was dudes with scurvy trying to fuck manatees.
water. Plato quite meaningfully chose Poseidon as the creator of Atlantis, the one who appointed its 10 kings. So when Atlantis fell and sank into the ocean at the end of the story, that's symbolic of the end of the fish people's reign of the planet.
No, bro, he made it up. It was the story of excess. It was about it was about Athens. It was a parable about Athenian excess and, like, you know, the political corruption. Fuck off.
Plato also blames Poseidon for the destruction of Troy.
Bro. All right, I lied. I'm high. I lied about it earlier when I said I wasn't.
The end of the battle, it's flattened by an earthquake caused by Poseidon. I think that links this to that same culture. The Greeks had another water god that's similar.
He's got little crab arms on his forehead. Aw, what a dork. Oh, look at his little crab hands. Aw. Oh, he's got little crabbers. And he can, like, do his hair in the morning. Oh, trim his little eyebrows. Hanging out. You can have them hold stuff like your glasses. Oh man, there you go. More D&D inspiration, dude. I'm just gonna. That's what I'm doing now. That's what I'm on.
similar to Poseidon. He's depicted in a similar way, but the differences are wild. First of all, he
Baby Ellie, I can feel that you just got out of the bog. Oh God, yeah, you're wet. Ugh, gross. So, oh God, the bog rat. Ew, bogs. Oh God. Itchy, baby. Okay. Yeah, I give her itches, dude. My cat walked by, and she likes to sit in the sink downstairs in my basement. And she's like a short-haired, black, fat cat, so she feels like a wet baby bog rat.
He has crab claws for horns, and he's often depicted with fish in his beard and his hair. But
that's fucking cool, dude. That is fucking cool. Commit to memory crab claw, prehensile crab claw horns.
it's when you look at him in a monochromatic setting that it's obvious that this is the aquatic elemental version of the Green Man.
It's fucking Green Man, dude. All of it's Green Man. Always Green Man. I need an Armoured Skeptic bingo. I'm done. It's Armoured Skeptic. I need it. Armoured Skeptic bingo. What? Put it together. Someone craft this masterpiece. I'll help you. Like, just be on the other end. Be on the smart side of putting it in.
It has the juice.
Man. It's so Green Man. It's been the Green Man all along. Eyebrow is free space. Or vocal fry. No, vocal fry is free space. Nah, it's mean, dude. I don't want to be self-conscious. Don't make fun of Greg in any of them, except the whole thing. Do it.
This is the Green Man with fish in his beard. The ancient Celts have a similar god they call Apollo Granus. Granus is where we get the word great. Basically means the great one or the great sun god, more or less. The legend is that the hot springs of Achen were dedicated to him or created for him. And the hot springs of Achen are associated with healing. They're supposed to be healing waters. So he is a healing god. Dagon came out of Sumeria, but the Sumerians had another name for him, Oannes. Likely the words Oceania and Oannes related to the word ocean. Described a man with fish scales and a fish head on his head. Literally. And his story? Oannes came out of the ocean and gave people wisdom.
Cool. This guy walks up to you. He's like, hey, man. And you're like, okay, hey, buddy. Hey, you want to know something? And you're like, I guess. Sure. Yeah, man. You sort of take a step back. Yeah, dude. The pyramids. You know about the pyramids? No. Pyramids are batteries. And then he just fucking backs. He just backs into the ocean and fucking, like a dolphin, flips away.
I'm not even joking. And according to Mesopotamian tradition, Oannes is the author of humanity's earliest arts and sciences. You can't make this shit up, folks. But these fish gods were part of a group of Sumerian...
Dude! He does this thing. He does this thing. I don't know what this is. These little scenes. It's like a smug, aren't you? We're all in on it. I don't know, man. Can someone explain why I hate this so much? Like it just makes me go. Ugh.
His earliest arts and sciences. You can't make this shit up, folks. But these fish gods were part of a group of Sumerian.
Like, I think what's happening here? Let me psychoanalyze this guy because I'm real high. I think he was just feeling himself here. I think he thinks that those were some good shots of him. He's like, yeah, I like my jawline.
Part of a group.
Look at that, yeah. I like how that looks. I want people to see how that looks because I like how that looks. I guess. but it like feels out of place. Like, are the you? I don't know. He's a narcissist. Yeah. Am I crazy? Is that what this is? It's so fine if you're feeling yourself, but like, then sort of do that in these videos, dude. If you're feeling sexy, fucking let's make the video sexy then. You got to do it then. You got to be in on it. Otherwise, it just is like sort of fucking weird. It's sort of like I don't know, being like a wallflower, but trying to be mysterious while you're doing, like, have like a cowboy hat and you're down. And you're like, you're not gonna say anything, but you want somebody else to bring it up. Anyway.
Of Sumerian gods called the Apkallu. These guys are included in the ancient Sumerian kings list. The first one, Alulim, supposedly began his rule of Sumeria in 5000 BC. They were believed to be descended from the gods, so they were obviously some sort of human hybrid.
I love how using the word obviously there makes me just fucking cackle. If he would have been like, and I think they were human hybrids, it made me giggle a little bit, but it wouldn't be like fucking smug. It wouldn't be like weird. I don't know, dude.
Be descended from the gods, so they were obviously some sort of human hybrid. Several other cultures in Eurasia
Obviously, some sort of. You know what I mean? He's like really, really confident. It can't be specific.
have a similar tradition of kings being descended from the gods. Or
Sing a Reaper. Working on the bingo for Greg. Give me some ideas you want. Well, definitely smug. We're gonna call that thing he just did that we all talked about a money shot. I think. Let's do a money shot. Where he's like, and he's like, he's doing a thing. I think Greg knows best, probably. Like, I don't know. Stuff about him being smart and Green Man, obviously. Red Man, White Lady. White Lady doesn't come up a lot, though. Coneheads, Denisovan, Pyramids, Tesla. Actually, Tesla doesn't come up a lot. I feel like he appeals to the same shit over and over. But
from the lion people or the dragon people, etc.
I lost the plot.
In Eurasia have a similar tradition of kings being descended from the gods, or from the lion people or the dragon people, etc. The connection between wisdom and fish is prominent in multiple cultures. Even the Celts have a folklore hero they literally call Fionn McCool. I'm gonna do a whole episode on the Celts and Fionn McCool. It'll blow your mind. But basically, at one point in his journey, he has to catch this fish that's been eating nuts of wisdom. So while he's cooking this fish...
that's what I call my nut. It's the nut of wisdom.
He just tastes the fat of the fish on his thumb, and doing that bestows him with all of this cosmic wisdom. When Jesus was alive, there was no J sound in Western language. His name was Joshua, which would have been pronounced Joshua, but the Greeks called him Isu or Yeshu. That eventually turned into Ezeus. Well, Rome already had an Ezeus character, a Gaulish god who was, get this, a carpenter who built boats. Ezeus was literally worshipped by seafarers as a boat god. In Hindu tradition, Krishna has a fish form, looks an awful lot like the original Mesopotamian fish gods. And Lord Vishnu also has a fish form, the fish god Hatmahit. And that's related to the word for great flood. It means chief fish god, but apparently during the Great Flood, he took this form and visited people frequently. So he's not only associated with bringing people wisdom during the Great Flood, but also after that. So basically an Atlantis god.
Atlantis should be on the bingo card. Mr. Whiskers, 100 biddies. Off to work. Don't let it die, chat. Mr. Whiskers is leaving right now. Good luck, chat.
But crazy coincidence, the ancient Egyptians also had a fish goddess with the exact same name, Hatmahit. I love when this happens, when my overarching theory that all these religions are the same religion are just so blatantly, perfectly demonstrated for me. But
couldn't have anything to do with like fish being a thing around. Fish being around. Nothing. Nope. They're all the same. No cultural exchange. No. No. One grand unified. We were all the same tribe once, don't you see? So in a way, Greg isn't white.
But get this. Isis also has a fish form. Now, this
ISIS
version,
has a fish.
Some people say it's a forgery or maybe it was altered later. That's possible. But there's also...
That's possible, but... Rob Blum, give one a soul space. Thank you.
An Isis fish. A fish with an Isis crown. Like, legit. ISIS was a fish. But the European...
ISIS was a fish. He's just changing stuff. Now it's like... No. Now you're a fish. Someone did a fish, you're a fish. You have been teasing.
Europeans are still worshipping Isis well into the first century. Famously, there was a temple to Isis at Pompeii. Here's Isis, everybody.
There she is.
Wait, that's not Isis. That's Mommy. I mean, Mary. That's Mary. You guys getting it yet?
Nope.
I like to give you time to piece this together yourself, but the name...
He was raised Catholic. Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to be clued in on here, Greg. I don't know what I'm supposed to be thinking.
Isu or Isus.
Right, let's go back to the big... I want to know what we're talking about. When he... Okay.
Isis at Pompeii. Here's Isis, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Wait, that's not Isis. That's Mommy. I mean, Mary. That's Mary. You guys getting it yet?
Yep.
I like to give you time to piece this together yourself, but...
That's right. That's where we stopped. That makes sense.
The name...
God, he's so cringe. He literally just made me cringe. Fuck, dude.
Isu or Isus had actually been floating around Europe for quite a long time before Jesus came along. A lot of Jesus's teachings were about bringing back the traditions of these fish people, or at least their knowledge. And accidentally, or maybe by design, his name was also bringing back one of their ancient gods' names. Some people have suggested that Isus might be one of the original names of the Green Man. And that's not really that big a stretch. And it's funny, you'll probably notice whenever I talk about the Green Man, I instinctively call him Jesus. Just because that's the modern version of that archetype that people worship today. But
I instinctively call him Jesus? What? As an atheist, that feels so fucking weird to me, right? Huh. I don't know. Jesus is the Green Man. Green Man on your bingo cards. I'm not playing it right now, but yeah, you can play bingo. Yeah, man. I'm tired of this.
But everything that the Green Man Jesus embodies, Isis Mary also embodies. Now, this specific version of Isis...
Because they're both wearing robes and got toes. It's the toes. It's always been the toes. Okay, just no strawberries. Is there anything else I got to do to this thing? You just don't want strawberry boys in it, right? It used to be something different. That's why I don't know it now. It used to be like, and more pumps of raspberry stuff. Is it still that?
is the Isis of wisdom, salvation,
Their sight.
and eternal life. That sounds like Jesus. Now put 2 and 2 together here, folks.
Okay.
Isius, Isis, death and rebirth, salvation.
Green man, red, white lady. Was it the white lady and the green guy?
They're the same God. They're both Jesus. I alluded in my Jesus episode that the Starship Enterprise is a depiction of the Alpha and the Omega. Like I said,
They
the
only have pickup.
world was like Star Trek back in the times of the ancient gods. For the ancient seafarers, with all the wildly different cultures and peoples they would encounter. The cone-headed captain traveling the cosmos, teaching aliens about the best qualities of his people, learning about theirs. It's like an evolution or a continuation of the ancient sea people's traditions of spreading knowledge across the cosmos. But speaking of Jesus, there are remnants of the fish religion in Christianity as well. It all connects. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep doing this. This likely is a real symbol that early Christians used to depict Jesus.
I don't mean to keep connecting everything to the conspiracy theory, the thing I'm obsessed with. I don't mean to. It just keeps happening. There's nothing I can do to control my thoughts about this conspiracy theory. It dominates it.
Jesus or his teachings. Really, it's more likely a symbol of the teachings rather than Jesus himself. Oh,
Okay, you'll order it? I'll take one of them boys then. Do you have money for it?
I almost forgot. It's not a coincidence that the Pope wears a hat that looks exactly like Dagon's head. I should have mentioned that earlier.
Like Dagon's head. That's fucking good, dude. Okay. Pope is Dagon. Wasn't this literally in Conan the Destroyer? The fucking... If I look up Conan the Destroyer God. Dagoth. Shit. There he is, dude. Spoilers for Conan the Destroyer.
It has to do.
This is rated PG, and it's about this maybe 18-year-old actress's virginity. They never show any nudity or anything, but it's specifically about that and how she's like she's tempted to fuck, but like he's around, you know, but he won't. They don't. But it's like about that. It's weird. It's great. I'd be Catholic if the Pope was Dagon. True. 80s PG. That's what I mean. Like, yeah. I watched it the other day.
The Romans most definitely continue
A
the
month
fish
ago.
god tradition. In the Gospels, when the Holy Spirit finally comes down and says that Jesus is the Son of God, it's after...
Honest question. It was shoe slipping this dude's meds when they were together? You know, I think they were both a little wacky. It's like... I don't know, dude. What a wild time. What an interesting couple of folks.
John the Baptist has immersed Jesus in water, and he's come up out of the water in a symbolic representation of the fish gods coming out of the water. And it isn't until Jesus is baptized that he actually starts going around teaching people his wisdom. More than that, Jesus' first significant miracle, he tells his disciples to cast their nets out into the water, and they pull in the largest catch of fish that they've ever seen. Later, 2 fish and a couple of loaves of bread are turned into a giant feast for hundreds of people. In this way, fish represent life in the Gospels, the same way that Jesus represents life.
Yeah, they were coastal the Mediterranean? You heard of it? Yeah. Yes. Their cultures revolved around the natural resources of the place that they were at. Greg? Of course. That is to be expected. It would be weird if it wasn't about fish. Dude, it would be weird. It would be significant if these cultures were talking about, like, if their god was, I don't know, something that isn't there at all, something that isn't even close to it, because it would be so out of place. Like, it doesn't make sense. Their gods are, of course, the things that they rely upon for survival. They eat fish every fucking day. Every person knows how fish work, and because there's fish around, they have fertilizer, and so they can have crops. And because of their, proximity to the water sources, they're able to live all right here. It's like, it works out. You know what I mean? It's a good place to live. That's why people do it. It's anthropology is just not a thing he's ever heard of, ever.
He, of course, turns water into wine. I guess that counts as one. Of course, there's the famous walking on water miracle. His disciples are on a boat during a tumultuous storm, and Jesus brings the boat to shore safely and then calms the storm while walking on water. That's pretty sea gaudy, if you ask me. He then heals a man in a pool or a bath, more or less. Then he also heals the sight of a man that was born blind by spitting in his eye, and then he tells him to wash it out with the pools of Siloam, and then the man can see. So that counts. I'm counting that as one. But more than that, scholars often argue that the 3 days and nights that
Dude, look at the tongue on that thing. This is back to the Wang video. This is a dolphin fucker. This guy flew too close to the sun. This is this guy right before it goes, and it rips it right off. No, it's a tongue. It's not a robe. It's a tongue. Fish tongue. Don't you know? No, you're seeing a robe because that's what you want to see. Okay? The artist is telling you right there. Big, slurpy fish tongue.
Jonah spent in the belly of the fish were a precursor or a foreshadowing to the 3 days and nights that Jesus would be dead before he rose again. The story of Jesus literally mirrors the story of Jonah and the fish.
Is that baleen? Nice.
Jonah was fish Jesus. But Jesus was a fish in that Jesus was continuing this tradition.
Jonah wasn't fish Jesus. Jonah is a conversion story about a guy finding faith through miracle. It's not. Maybe. I don't know, man. Whales aren't fish. Nah, he wasn't fish Jesus. Man, it would be a literary stretch. Look at those holes. Oh, fuck. He's got fish holes, dude. From the cross. They gave fish Jesus fish holes, dude. They gave him holes. What? Fuck.
Of the fish gods, offering wisdom and spiritual philosophy.
Little fish nostrils,
It has
and just
to
like
do.
the one before, a little long fish tongue. That is one holy fit. I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes for miscellaneous bits.
But Jesus said that he is the life. To follow Jesus is to
video's
live
about to end.
forever. This is not just a fish.
Mic drop coming.
This is a single petal from the flower of life. Guess this video did have a point at the end.
What? What was it?
Is to live forever. This is not just a fish. This is a single petal from the flower of life. Guess this video did have a point at the end.
Badass, honestly. Wow, what a badass. What a mic drop, dude. Sheesh. Did you guys learn about the truth? The petals? The petals of the life? I feel like we have fundamentally different experiences. When he says words, he has an internal monologue that is entirely separate from our brains. We're not anywhere close to the narrative we need to be to get what the fuck he's talking about. You have to be so deep in the dog shit to get even close to this. Wow, dude. He is a truly fascinating fella. Yeah. It's getting dark, chat. Just the iceberg meme. Fuck.